Creating an effective presentation is not only about the content. It's about helping your audience know what is significant. Contrast can help you design your presentation more effectively by making the critical information appear more important than anything else. It can also help your audience organize the content in meaningful ways and hopefully help them retain the information after your presentation is over. What is contrast? Contrast can be defined as the difference in visual properties that make an object distinguishable from other objects in the background. In plain English, this could be described at the most basic level as things that look different from one another. Contrast is at the root of everything. In a presentation, we are constantly trying to establish hierarchies of importance, draw people to certain areas of a slide, and communicate a clear message that is the goal of the presentation. Contrast helps us do this. Let's think of some ways that you can create contrast in your presentations. Value contrasts light and dark, negative and positive, solid and tint, and colors with black and white. Weight contrasts bold with light, mass with line, thick with thin. Form contrasts capital letters with lowercase, Roman letters with italic, script fonts with simple, square with round. Placement contrasts high and low, centered versus left and right, together and apart. Quantity contrasts many with few, single elements with grouping, often with seldom. Texture contrasts tight with loose, airy with dense, smooth with rough, shiny with matte. Scale contrasts large with small, tall with short, and broad with narrow. These 7 tools will help you create contrast in your presentation. Value, weight, form, placement, quantity, texture, and scale. Let's start with a simple title slide with text that is all the same size and has all the same attributes. Weight, scale, and form are your primary tools to create contrast. In this slide, bold type makes the name of the presentation stand out. Weight contrast is very strong. Value, form, and scale are more subtle. Don't overuse weight, since a lot of bold text is confusing and doesn't help your audience know what is the most important. In this slide, the title is in the same font and weight as the rest of the text, but the size of the title makes it stand out. In this slide, a different font was used for the title, and it's in all capital letters too. This is an example of form. In this slide, value creates contrast by changing the text that is not as important to gray, while leaving the more important text black. I can also change the title to red, creating even more emphasis. In this slide, placement is used to create contrast by separating the text into separate parts. By grouping the text into longer parts, using the contrast created by quantity, the different elements such as the title, the presenters, and the affiliation of the presenters stand out. This is exactly the same design as the original, except that the spacing that separates the letters in the title are extended, adding more space between the letters. Here's a combination of weight and value, adding a bold title in a different color than the rest of the text. Here's a combination of weight and scale with a bold title in a larger size font. Finally, value, scale, and form are used in combination to make the title really stand out. Notice the different font used for the title in all caps. In this slide, weight, scale, and value are used for contrast. Placement makes a big difference in this slide. The text is aligned on the left instead of centered, and scale is used to designate more important elements. In this slide, form, scale, placement, and quantity are used to provide more contrast and create interest. Here is the same slide as the previous one, but now contrast is used to emphasize just a part of the title. In this slide, a simpler font is used for the title. Italics are used for contrast, and some bold text is added for contrast to the bottom group. In this last slide, I've added a plain line to help the audience distinguish the different blocks of text. There is so much more to contrast than just light and dark. It's one of the most important principles of design, and you can almost never have too much of it, provided that you use it properly. Taking your designs to the next level isn't about finding the flashy template. It's about finding better and more efficient ways of communicating the message behind the design. Exploring contrast in detail and using it to its full potential is one of the best ways to do this. Remember the tools of contrast: value, weight, form, placement, quantity, texture, and scale can help you direct your audience's attention, create organization, and leave lasting memories.